Hello, MLB Showdown Nation. This is your guru, Colby Talathis, and this is going to be our 7th part in our series on how to play MLB Showdown. We're starting to get really close to almost playing a full game here. Today we're going to be talking about tired pitchers. Before in our series, in our first part, we talked about the first roll in a sequence, in an at-bat sequence, which is called the pitch, and how that determines which of the two charts, the batters or the pitchers, which we are going to use. The second part, we talked about the second part of an at-bat, the second roll, which is called the swing, and how that generates a result for the at-bat. The third part, we talked about how the batter and the runners on base advance during hits. The fourth part, we talked about how the batter and the runners on base advance during outs. For our fifth part, we talked about the defense and how that impacts MLB Showdown, including the catcher, the infield, and the outfield. And for our sixth part, we talked about the 3 different types of substitutions: pinch hitting, pinch running, and defensive replacements, and how that works. We also talked about emergency fielding and instances like that. Today we're going to switch the focus over to the pitching side and how the pitching game changes. We talked about how they have a control and how they have a chart. What we didn't talk about was this little thing in the corner of their chart, which is called the innings pitched, which for Todd Stottlemyre is 6 innings pitched. Starting pitchers have, spoiler, this is going to change once we introduce all the 2012 cards, but as of right now, from the 2000, 2001, 09, 10, and 11 sets, starting pitchers have either 5 innings pitched, 6 innings pitched, 7 innings pitched, or 8 innings pitched. Those are your 4 options for starting pitchers. That means that a pitcher keeps his original control, and he will use that for as many innings as he has. There are strategy cards that increase that number and decrease that number. So the question is, what happens if a pitcher pitches beyond that number? That's a good question. Every inning that a pitcher pitches beyond his allotted amount, he loses 1 control to every one of his pitches. So that means if a pitcher can pitch 6, and it is the 7th, he will lose 1. Say he pitches to the 8th, he will lose another 1, so he'll get -2. So Todd Stottlemyre, who is a 4 who can pitch 6 innings, in the 8th inning he will be a 2. Also, all starting pitchers and relief pitchers, except for with one exception, which we'll talk about, they lose 1 inning pitched on their card for every 3rd run they give up. This means that when a pitcher gives up his 3rd run, his 6th run, his 9th run, and so on, he will lose more. So say in that same instance where Todd Stottlemyre is about to pitch the 7th inning, but he gave up 3 runs beforehand, upon the moment he gave up his 3rd run, he dropped down to 5 innings pitched. So at some point he was tired before that. So as he goes into the 7th inning, because he can only pitch 5 innings now because he gave up 3 runs, he's not a -1, he's actually a -2. Again, this is an instantaneous thing. So mid-inning, if a pitcher gives up his 3rd run, and this is the 3rd run cumulative, not 3rd run in the inning, he does lose an innings pitch, so which means he could start an inning non-tired and end up tired during the inning. This is relatively common. Also, something to take note of. We do have relief pitchers. Say your Todd Stottlemyre does get tired, and we do not want to keep bringing him out. We have relief pitchers, which come as either closers or relievers. Relievers and closers have the ability to pitch 2 innings, 1 inning, or, introduced in the 2011 set, the ability to pitch 1/3 of an inning. We will talk about those guys later. As of right now, we're just going to talk about the 1 and 2 inning guys. These guys have the same mechanics as starting pitchers. The only difference is they can only pitch a shorter amount, either 1 or 2 innings. They tire at the same pace. After giving up their 3rd run, they end up losing an innings pitched, and they also just drop 1 at a time. Interesting thing on relievers is because they appear in multiple games, could end up entering a game tired. Leagues have their own reasons for ways of doing this. The official rule is that a reliever can pitch 2 consecutive games and then must receive a day off. If he pitches 3 consecutive games, he enters the game tired. and loses 1. If he pitches 4 consecutive games, he enters the game tired and -2 to start every one of his pitches, and so on and so forth. As of right now, 1 day's rest makes up for all of that. There are other rules that people have added onto it, but these are not the official rules. These are all house rules that you guys have to determine what you want to do. In our leagues, we play that if a pitcher started a new inning tired, the next game he is automatically tired without a day's rest. This would mean, say Todd Van Poppel, who can throw 2 innings, say he pitched 3 full innings his first game off of being rested. That means he started his 3rd inning tired. For the second game, even though he only pitched 1 game previously, because he started an inning tired, he will be tired this one under our rules. The reason we say began a new inning tired is that would be just in case Todd Van Poppel gave up 3 runs but still only pitched his allotted 2 innings. It makes the bullpen management a little bit more easy. But again, choose what you like in that regard. And the person I ignored, finally. This is a 1/3 of an inning reliever. They have interesting mechanics in that they only pitch 1/3 of an inning. They tire by 1 every additional out they record instead of every additional inning they record like normal relievers. So, say Mike Dunn starts an inning with nobody on base and he goes 1, 2, 3. The first guy he rolls, because he is a 3, he gets +3 to his roll. The second guy who comes up, he is now tired as a 2, gets him out. And the third guy, he gets a 1. The only exception to this is that on a ground ball double play, that is considered 1 out, not 2. So he will not lose 2. He will only lose 1. Also, 1/3 of an inning guys lose 1 control for every run they allow, not every 3rd run. Because they pitch such shorter distances, they tire much faster. But they cost a lot less, which we'll talk about in points later on. And something to remember when you bring in relief pitchers, whether it's a reliever for a starter or a reliever for a reliever, is that when you're counting runs, a runner counts for the pitcher who allowed them to get on base. So that means a pitcher may be on the mound when 3 runs score, but they may not be responsible for any of them if, say, there was a bases loaded, if they came in with the bases loaded and gave up a triple. None of those 3 runs count against them. They count against the previous pitcher, which for the sake of tired doesn't matter because they're already out of the game. That is how tired pitchers work, and hopefully that's been helpful for you to show you some of the different options and how the mechanic works. Thank you guys for joining us, and remember to play for the card.